I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and I welcome you to my channel. I'm so grateful that you guys are listening, subscribing, and commenting on my channel. I really appreciate the support. In this video, I want to speak to you guys about a topic that's a little bit difficult for me to speak about in such a public format. But it's an important topic to speak about, and I really feel that a couple of you guys have been mentioning it in comments and you've been messaging me about it. And I feel like if I don't do justice by actually talking about this subject in this public manner, then I don't think I can look myself in the eye anymore, right? I'm not the courageous person that I want to be. I'm not the person that I want to be, right? And so the topic is about our sex drive as INFJs. You guys probably have this experience if you've dated an INFJ or if you are an INFJ, that you have a really high sex drive. Now, it's really interesting to me because a lot of you guys, when you mention that, I have a really high sex drive, and a lot of you say that your sex drive is higher than your partner, and that actually sometimes causes issues in the relationships because you want to have sex quite often. Maybe 2 or 3 times a day sometimes, and your partner is like fine with doing it maybe twice a week, and that's all right with them. Or maybe not as bad as that, but there's a significant difference usually in the sex drive of an INFJ versus their partner. And as I said, that can cause issues in your relationships, especially if you're not really interested in masturbating as much as in actually having real sex. All right. So the reason I wanted to do a video about this is because a lot of us, what we start doing as INFJs, and what I did myself, is that we start blaming our hormones for it. We're like, oh, it must be because it's my hormones. It must be because I'm weird, or I am a pervert, or I am an idiot, or a weirdo, or whatever it might be. You can use a billion words to describe yourself because you don't want to admit the fact that you just like sex. And I know that feeling. I actually grew up in an extremely Muslim country. I was in the Middle East for my entire life until I was 15 years old. So, I was born in India, obviously, but my parents moved us to the Middle East very quickly because my father found a job there. And so until the age of 15, I lived and moved around in a bunch of Middle Eastern countries. Now, thankfully, the last country I lived in was Dubai, which is pretty forward in its thinking, but it was still a Muslim country, and a lot of the teachings that I got from my teachers, from my colleagues, from my compatriots, from the people around me was that, sex is bad, men are to be feared, you have to hide yourself or cover yourself up because men are not able to control themselves, and or you're going to be assaulted if you expose too much skin or you expose yourself too much, and sex is bad, right? That was a constant refrain that was taught to us, that stop thinking about sex, don't think about it too much, it's the bad thing. If you think too much about it, you're a horrible person, you're going to go to hell, or you're going to be punished, things like that. And from a young age, from when I was 12 or 13 years old, 12 I think, I liked touching myself. It was a release for me. And I know this is kind of like a weird topic to speak about, but I really just want to remove the taboo from the chatter about sex or masturbation, right? And so the reason I wanted to do this video is because from a young age I had this feeling, this sense about myself that I was an evil person. I was disgusting. I was gross because I liked masturbation. I liked sex from a very young age, and I thought about it all the time. Even now, and I'm 35 now, I'm always constantly thinking about sex. Not in a way that I'm like, oh my god, I'm so horny, I want to do it. But just thinking about the sexuality of my body, thinking about the sexuality of other people, thinking about sex in general as a sort of creative energy. I just love thinking about it because it's such a powerful transmutational sort of energy. It transforms people. The same thing about love, obviously, and I spend a lot of my time thinking about love as well. But sex in particular, I have had a lot of issues with it because, as I said, the society has, not only if it's a Muslim country, society in general has a tendency to tell us that sex is bad. You should only do it if you want to procreate. And it's not supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be anything pleasurable. It's just supposed to be a means to an end, right? Which is producing more babies so that the world can get more overpopulated. Apparently, I don't know why that's important. So I really had to teach myself over the last few years to learn to realize that sex is not a bad thing, that it's actually one of the paramount things that a human being does on this planet in order to learn more about themselves, in order to learn more about other people. To have sex with a person that you really love is one of the most transmutational and one of the most beautiful experiences in the world, right? And I've done videos on the fact that, you know, I'm a pansexual, so I have sexual attraction to many different kinds of people around the planet, and I walk through the world and I'm like, oh, you're beautiful and you're gorgeous, and I'm always looking at people and thinking about, you know, I'm wondering about them, thinking about them and thinking about what they think about sex, how do they think about it, what do they like about it, what don't they like about it, because we're so, as a culture, we're so censored in talking about sex. Like, most people will not allow you to speak about that stuff or want you to speak about that stuff in front of them because they're so repressed. Most people are extremely repressed because of the fact that, you know, we live in a society where sexuality is frowned upon, especially female sexuality, because it's so powerful. It has so much capability to it. That's the reason why I love being a female a lot of times, is because as a female we have so much power within us, which is always stamped down upon because this masculine patriarchal society we live in wants us not to realize our power, right? That's the reason we're always trying to boost ourselves up and to realize that we're goddesses with immense power hidden within our bodies, especially within our genitals. And if we could just transmute that energy into something big, we would change the world. If we could just learn to love ourselves in that manner. Now, that's the reason I wanted to do this video, is because a lot of you guys, I feel like you start despising yourself or thinking yourself as something perverse because you have such a high sex drive. Now, I know I've told you guys that I'm celibate at the moment. I have been celibate for almost 3 years now. And that's not because I don't like sex. I love it. I love all of its shapes and forms. I love performing the act. I love thinking about the act. I love imagining the act. I love all of it. I love everything. But for the last 3 years, I've been focused on my creative work, and I've been transmuting a lot of my sexual energy, my high sex drive, into my creative work. And that's the reason, as I said, I've told you guys before, why I've been able to create so much, why I have so much energy, is because all of that sexual energy, I use yoga and other techniques in order to move that energy upwards into my heart, into my throat chakra, and use that energy to create awesome, beautiful things, create these videos, create my blog posts, create new novels, create all of the imaginary things, worlds that I create in my head. And so I'm not celibate because I am of the opinion that sex is bad or anything. I'm not using that as an excuse to say that, you know, everyone should stop having sex. Of course not. I think sexual energy and sexuality and just having sex with people that you love is one of the most transmutational, as I said, the most powerful experience you can have. And also, it's a really good way of connecting with someone else's source, right? Connecting with someone else's soul or spirit, right? I think that a lot of us are having superficial conversations, superficial relationships with other people. But as soon as you have, you know, as soon as you like someone, or you have that insight into someone where you're like, I think I really want to have sex with this person, even if it's just a casual thing, all of a sudden, if you're able to have that relationship, that deeper relationship with them, you're able to break through all of the boundaries of superficiality, right? No longer can you stay superficial with each other when you're looking at each other naked or looking at each other's genitals and you're like, okay, cool. I guess all of the boundaries or walls that were built between us have fallen to the ground, and you can't hide anymore. You can't hide anymore in that moment. It's really hard. I mean, you can try, but it's going to be difficult. And I think that's the reason I love sexuality and this active sex is because the fact that it dissipates all those boundaries and walls and those masks. It's extremely hard to still have a mask on. You can have certain layers on still, obviously. You're not completely revealing yourself to that other person, but still, it's extremely hard to still have a mask or a boundary on when you are in that intimate physical act, right? It's one of those things that can really connect you to that other person. That's one of the reasons why I don't like restricting myself only to men or to women, is because I just want this act to be a way of breaking down boundaries and walls between me and all of this humanity that's around me, right? So it's the way of connection. It's a deeper sort of connection, an intimate connection that's extremely hard to get otherwise. Now, of course, you can go through that with, get to that with deep conversation or other things, you know, meditation, things like that. But the ultimate is always the sexual act, right? It's always the ultimate thing of connecting with some other human being and realizing that you're much bigger than this physical body that you're in, right? And so I wanted to do this video, extremely difficult video for me. It's extremely embarrassing to speak about this stuff in such a public manner. But as I said, I want to be the kind of person who doesn't shy away from these kind of topics. So I'm doing this because I really want you guys to realize there's nothing wrong with you guys, obviously, right? I mean, I think we have a high sex drive because we are so connected. If we are so connected to our bodies, then we realize our mind-body connection is so powerful. And also we have such a great imagination as an INFJ, right? So we're able to imagine all these scenarios where we can have an orgasm without even being touched, you know? I just think that we have the capability because we are living in a completely different realm. We're not living in the physical realm. We are mostly living in that imaginary headspace of ours where anything is possible. I think that's why we're able to have such a high sex drive, because we're able to create all these scenarios in our head where we are, you know, having these connections with all of these beings, maybe ethereal beings even, right? And so a lot of this stuff that I've talked about is extremely abstract. It is in the source. It's about the divine. It's about connecting with that deeper part of yourself. It's about connecting to the soul or spirit of someone else. And maybe perhaps a lot of it doesn't make any sense to you guys. But I just wanted to give the essence of the teaching, which is it's all right to have a high sex drive. It's not something that's wrong with you. It's not because of your hormones. It's not because of something else. It's just the way it is. It's the way you're built, and it's awesome because that's a great way of connecting with other people, I think. It's one of the most powerful ways you can connect with another human being. I hope this makes sense. I hope I was able to explain myself to you guys. Again, if you guys are offended by this topic, just ignore it and don't watch the video. I'm saying this a little too late, but ignore it, obviously. If you guys have any questions or anything that you want me to expand upon, let me know, and I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.